Hey everyone! My name is Nicole Boone, and I am going to tell you about my Central Japan experience. As my PSLE had already ended, my parents decided to reward me for my past year's hard work by bringing me to explore the central region of Japan. This time, because of the many dance rehearsals in school, my sister unfortunately could not join us, so it was only the three of us on this trip. My daddy, on his quest to visit as many Japanese castles as possible, decided that from the 6th to the 17th of October, we would visit the Chubu region, which is the center of Honshu, Japan's main island. There, he intended for us to visit the castles at Nagoya, Inuyama, Takayama, Kanazawa, and Matsumoto. Along the way, we would also spend our time walking the Sanmachi historic districts in Takayama, as well as visiting the natural wonders of the Tateyama Korobi Elphame route. Our journey began in Nagoya in the Aichi Prefecture. Nagoya is the fourth largest city in Japan by population. We took the Meitetsu train from the Chubu Central International Airport to the Meitetsu Nagoya Station, adjacent to the JR Nagoya Station, which was located a stone's throw away from the Castle Plaza Hotel, where we would be staying. We started our exploration proper the next day, where we made a beeline for Nagoya Castle. The castle itself has been rebuilt after being destroyed during the air raids of 1945, and now houses a museum with special mention of the three powerful warlords who could trace their origins there: Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. We explored inside the castle, viewing the golden dolphins before making our way to the top of the castle. After that, we explored the castle grounds and gardens. We also explored Nagoya City itself, visiting the Sake shopping district of Nagoya, where we went to see the Nagoya TV Tower, the Oasis 21, which is a bus terminal with its rooftop water pond, and I even got to ride on a Ferris wheel opposite the Mitsukoshi departmental store. The following day, we went to the northern outskirts of Nagoya and explored Inuyama, home of Yama Castle, one of the castles listed as a natural treasure of Japan, and it's not hard to see why. The castle, although small, is beautifully preserved in its original wooden condition. It also sits on a hilltop and commands a panoramic view of the city and the Kiso River. I would have enjoyed the experience more, but I was so afraid of heights that I was gripping the wall with all my might as I navigated around the old creaky wooden outside platform when I went to the top of the castle. On this trip, we also decided to join the local Yokoso tour that would take us to the Korobi Gorge and to the Tateyama Korobi Elphame Trail. My mom told me that a lot of Japanese decide to take this tour because of the attractions of the Elphame Trail. The trail starts at Shinano Omachi and ends at Tateyama Station, a distance about 45 kilometers. The transportation from the start of the trail to the end will encompass traveling by various unique modes of transportation: the Kanden Trolley Underground Bus, the Korobi Underground Cable Car, the only one in the world, the Tateyama Unsupported Ropeway, the Tateyama Trolley Bus, the Highland Bus that in winter will pass through the snow corridor, and finally, the Tateyama Cable Car. Along this trail, we visited the scenic Korobi Dam and walked on the Murado Plateau, where the wind was so strong it almost blew me off my feet. Not to mention it was so cold my fingers threatened to fall off. We also had our lunch at the plateau, where we were treated to a local deep-fried shrimp bento, which we were told was the specialty of the region. From the Tateyama station, we took the JR train to Toyama, where we caught another train to the idyllic, quaint samurai town of Tateyama in the Gifu Prefecture. We arrived at Tateyama to find that our ryokan was based halfway up the hill to the Shiroyama Park, where we were greeted by a spectacular view of the whole city. The Tateyama Castle ruins were just behind our ryokan in the Shiroyama Park, where to our horror, we saw a warning of danger as there were bears sighted in the forest in the vicinity. Nonetheless, so I had fun playing in the playground by the monument of Kanamori Nagachika, the samurai who founded Tateyama Castle. While in Tateyama, we visited the Tateyama Jinya, an old Edo period government house, the morning markets, and generally walked the Sanmachi streets where all the old houses were located. But most memorable for me was the trip we took on the Sarabobo no-hi bus to the Hida no Sato, a cultural village just on the outskirts of the town. Hida no Sato is a model folk village that contains over 30 buildings recreating Hida's historical look. At the village, I also learned weaving. It was so fun. My teacher was an old lady who looked to be about in her 90s. I also did some pottery where I made a cup. That was super fun too. Not to mention, I wandered around the village, took in the autumn leaves, and got a chance to ring the village bell. Other than Tateyama, we took 2 trips out to the surrounding regions. The first trip was to Shirakawa-go and Kanazawa. Shirakawa-go is a small village that has streets of traditional gashozukuri farmhouses, some having stood for more than 250 years. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and there are still people staying in the traditional houses. We didn't spend a lot of time there and instead ventured on to Kanazawa by bus. Kanazawa is a small town in the Ishikawa Prefecture located at the coast of the sea in Japan. I was told that Kanazawa was relatively isolated until the March 2015 opening of the Hokuriku Shinkansen from Tokyo that brought in a lot more visitors. Although small, Kanazawa is rich both in wealth and history. The city itself is renowned for its gold, and during the samurai period, the powerful samurai Maeda Toshi ruled the town from Kanazawa Castle. Of course, Daddy made a beeline for the statue of the samurai and demanded we visit the castle grounds even though the castle was destroyed long ago and is only being rebuilt now. I had to sample the local specialty, ice cream with pure golden leaves. What an expensive treat. The most famous attraction in Kanazawa is the Kenrokuen Gardens, considered as one of the 3 great gardens in Japan. The second trip we took out from Tateyama was to Matsumoto, the second largest city in the Nagano Prefecture. The only reason why Daddy wanted to go to Matsumoto was to see the Matsumoto Castle, which is not only listed as a natural treasure of Japan, but along with Himeji and Kumamoto Castle, is considered a premier castle of Japan. Matsumoto Castle, otherwise known as the Crow Castle, because it is predominantly black in color, is still in its original condition, made of wood and stone. After all our trips out of town, we decided to dedicate the last day in Tateyama to properly exploring the town, where we started with the Miyagawa River morning market, before exploring the many shrines in the city. We also sampled the local street snacks, the Hida beef bun as well as the Hida beef sushi. The Hida beef is so fine, it melts in your mouth like butter. We were so taken by it that we had Hida beef for lunch as well as dinner. We also had lots of ice cream. In the afternoon, we did a tour of the Hirase Brewery where I learned about, but I couldn't drink, The sake. It was nonetheless very educational, and we had a fantastic bubbly English-speaking tour guide who introduced us to very rare 10 to 20-year-old umeshu, a liquor made from steeping ume fruits in sake. I was very upset that my parents denied me a taste, even though I tried my best using my puppy dog eyes to ask for just a sip. We spent 5 nights at Tateyama, sleeping on tatami mats and soaking in the hot springs at the Futarishizuka Hakun Ryokan, where each day the friendly staff would provide us a different sumptuous breakfast. Finally, we travelled back to Nagoya, where we checked into the Meitetsu New Grand Hotel for our last day in Japan. We spent our last few hours in Japan doing last-minute shopping, eating good food and resting. Before we knew it, the holiday was over and it was time to go home. I was very sad that we had to leave the fresh air, beautiful surrounds, and the delicious food in Japan. But it was time for us to return to the hazy Singapore. SG, here we come! Japan, I will miss you!